again, friends, and welcome back to my channel. My name's Amy, and I'm glad you decided to join me for this December book chat video. Can you believe that it's already my December book chat video? What a year it's been in my reading journey and my writing journey and all the book journey in between. It's been good. I've read 38 books, I believe I have, or 37 books in total this year. So I'm really, really proud of myself. Some of the books were rereads for me, but I still counted them. And I finally finished my goal of reading all my books. And so in my background, I have 1, 2, 3 in my bedroom, which is off camera. I have 2 or 3 other bookcases, so I am so proud of myself that I've read all my reread all the books that I own. That was a huge goal for me because I find that it's important to, as book lovers and book readers and collectors, that we only keep the books that are really meaningful to us, and to pass on books that we have either outgrown or just don't enjoy as much as we did when we read it the first time, or something to that degree. So congrats, books, you all made it. For this book chat, I am going to be rapid fire reading off the books that I have read this year. I will either be giving them a big thumbs up or a thumbs down if I like them. I am not going to be showing you all the books that I've read because that would be a lot of time, and I know it's a very busy season for everybody in December, even me. This is my 3rd video that I've made today, so I am just going to be rapid fire reading these. And I will try to remember to also tell you what genre it is, so if you are interested, you can look it up later. So without further ado, let's just jump right in. The first book is called The Story of Egypt, The Civilization That Shaped the World by Joanne Fletcher. This is a nonfiction book, if you couldn't figure it out by the title. I am such a big fan of ancient Egypt. I love reading the history, not only the country, but the pharaohs and the everyday citizen. It is such a good, well-rounded book. I absolutely, chef's kiss, super enjoyed this book. And it's a nonfiction book, which I usually don't read. Unless it's about, like I said, ancient Egypt. Or a subject. Usually I don't read nonfiction books. It has to be a subject I am interested in, and then which case I will, just to clarify. The second book that I would like to talk to you about is called The Prodigal Son, book number 2 in the second generation Marked Men by Jay Crownover. Oh, this book was an emotional journey. I have read the series called Marked Men, and each book follows one character from a friend group, and most of the characters are tattoo artists, and it follows their love life journey. And The Prodigal Son by Jay Crownover follows the son of the first character of the series, and I felt so connected to the characters. It's like I'm part of their family, so to speak. I feel like I'm the aunt reading it, and it just was a beautiful book. I absolutely love it. So if you are looking for not only a new romance series, contemporary series to get into, I would highly recommend Marked Men and the second generation of Marked Men. It is just a wonderful, unique take on romance and contemporary. And I love the fact that Jay Crownover books, the main character has a totally different personality than, say, the first character in the main character in the first book. You cannot tell I'm a big fan. I gush about it. I could go on. The next book that I would like to talk to you about is called Son of a Gun, Book 3 in the Second Generation of Marked Men by Jay Crownover. Do you guys see a pattern? This is the third book in the series, and it follows a different character's son or daughter, excuse me. And again, she just has Jay Crownover has a beautiful gift for tying in storylines and characters from her original series, Marked Men, and adding it to their kids for a new story. So if you feel like you're not just rereading the same story that you did in the first series. And I absolutely love that. It's emotionally gripping and compelling, and your heart just goes through all the wonderful emotions that romance contemporary brings. Like I said, if you are looking for a new take on contemporary romance, I would highly check out Marked Men and Son of a Gun, Book 2, The Second Generation of Marked Men by Jay Crownover. I really love Jay Crownover books. They are amazing. The next book I would like to talk to you about is called Matty Mayo, a sequel to Redwall by Brian Jacques. Now, these books it is about anthropomorphic animals, and they live in they live in a medieval world. So they live in a abbey that has red sandstone, hence the name Redwall. And Matty Mayo is the son of the first book's main character. And I just love the fact that they go on quests and adventures, and there's sword fighting and treasure, and it's just a awesome, unique take on fantasy. It is my favorite fantasy series, and yes, they are about mice and shrews and voles and foxes, and I know all that sounds like, how can that be, like, how can you connect with characters? But Brian Jacques is one of my favorite fantasy authors, and he just writes these elaborate, decadent, fleshed out scenes of, like, from a thick forest to such a lavish description of food and a feast. You feel like you are right there next to the characters. And in this story, we follow Matty Mayo, who is taken by a slaver and from Redwall, and his father, Matthias, has to go and rescue him. But along the way, Matty Mayo learns being a hero is tougher than it looks. It's not just all easy heroics. It's heartbreak. There's hard lessons to learn. And again, I could go on and on about this series, but I absolutely love rereading this series. I've made a video all about the series of books that I have. They're on this shelf. Brian Jacques and the Redwall series got me into my love of reading. The next book I would like to talk to you about is called Aiding the Dragon, a Stonefire story by Jessica Donovan, and it's book 9 in the series. This is a shapeshifter book where it follows a clan of people in Ireland that can shapeshift into dragons, and it follows each book follows a different clan member and their unique stories of finding their one true love and the trials and tribulations of that. Really, really good story. I will say this series is not for younger kids under 18. If you're not 18, or high school age, you should not be reading these books, just because there is a lot of adult content in it. Not only cussing, but there are also quite explicit, intimate sex scenes. So be forewarned about that. The next book I would like to talk to you about is called Wayward Son, a Second Generation Marked Men, book number 4 by Jay Crownover. Again, what can I say? I love this series. Of course I was gonna read this book. Again, this follows a different character's kid, and they go through such a trials and tribulations. It seems like they can't catch a break, and your heart just goes out for them, because they are they have their own unique personality, and you learn to find out pretty quickly who they are and what they are about. And again, each book is just a gem, truly a gem. The next book I would like to talk to you about is called The Long Patrol by Brian Jacques. Now, this is a different story. It not necessarily takes place at Redwall Abbey like the first books do. It is about the Long Patrol, which is a military army of fighting hares. They're hares, not rabbits. They absolutely hate to be called rabbits. And this story follows a young hare named Tamil, and that is his life goal, is to become a Long Patrol, hare. But he is young and naive, and he fantasizes of the Long Patrol being this great, epic, valiant position. And as everyone knows, being in the army takes discipline. You have to have a strong stomach, and you have to be able to control your emotions and to show mental toughness. And he goes through a journey of going through highs and lows of becoming that, and he has a lot of growing to do, but he goes on a quest, and he meets some friends, he meets foes, there's sword fighting, there's battle. Again, this is an awesome fantasy series. The description and details are so epic and vivid. It is an amazing story, and it seems to be that people that read the series either love it or they don't like it. And again, these characters are anthropomorphic animals, so they stand on two legs like people, and you sometimes almost forget that they're animals in a way, because you just get swept up in this epic quest and journey. And oh man, this is one of the few books of the Redwall series that makes me cry, and I cry, and it's an ugly cry, but the story is so good. The next book is called Triss by Brian Jacques, and this follows a young squirrel named Triss. She is a prisoner in a press gang, and she has to get free, and she is destined to defeat the overlord that is the one overseeing why she became a slave. And She, unlike the other characters I have mentioned previously, she has sort of a mental toughness already. She's kind of like a hardcore, tough, badass squirrel. I love the fighting scenes. They're so epic, and again, you just get swept up in the story, and it's a great book. The next book I would like to talk to you about is Baby, I'm Yours by Susan Anderson, and I did not finish this book. I just couldn't get into the characters. I didn't like the way the story flowed. I didn't like the writing style of the author, and I DNF'd it. The next book I would like to talk to you about is called Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. Now, you may or may not know, but I am a big fan of Jane Austen. I love her books. My favorite book by her is Northanger Abbey. I know there's a big thing. Pride and Prejudice is the best. Yeah, it's good. It's not my favorite. For me, it's Northanger Abbey. I just relate to Catherine Morland in some regards, and I love Henry. I know a lot of Jane Austen fans aren't huge on him. I like him. You know, he's not necessarily, if you will, a complicated character. You're trying to figure him out. He's kind of straightforward, and you know his values. You know the kind of character he is, but I love the story. I also am a big period drama fan, so I just absolutely love it. If you are trying to get into classics, I would definitely give Jane Austen a try. Again, with Redwall, you either love Jane Austen or you don't like her. Sometimes you can be gray area as well. At first, I wasn't a big Jane Austen fan when I started reading it, but the more I read, the more I understood and got it. Also, watching the adaptations helps a lot of the different books. So, I'm just throwing that out there. The next book is White Hot Kiss by Jennifer L. Armentrout. And I DNF'd this book. Again, I thought I was going to like this story, but I think I've gotten to a point where I don't like reading sort of high school age characters and the high school scene and forbidden love. It's just, I don't know. I really tried to get into the characters and the story, but I just found myself struggling, and it just wasn't my cup of tea. So I'm definitely thumbs downing this book, which I totally forgot to thumb the ups or down all the other ones. So oh well. But I did not like White Hot Kiss. The next book I would like to talk to you about is called Middlemarch by George Eliot. Again, this is a classic and it can look scary. I would highly recommend, if you are interested in reading it, to maybe audiobook it and or watch an adaptation. I think that you will kind of get a better sense of the characters and what the book is going to be about. It's a pretty hefty book, and it is very wordy and lengthy, and if you are not prepared for that, it's like you won't enjoy it at all. I know when I first started reading it, I didn't not only not understand it very well, but I found it difficult to read. But I kept at it, and I also listened to the audiobook, like I said, which helped me a lot. And I did watch the adaptations, which again helped me to enjoy it, and I really, really love it. Again, those were all rereads for me. The next book is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. This book for me is just an okay book. I like it. I do like it. it's not my favorite, and I know it's most everybody's favorite, but I enjoy it. I give it, if I'm rating it by alphabetical, I give it a C. And I know, shocking, but that's just my take on it. I like the characters, absolutely. I like the story, perfect. But it's just not my favorite Jane Austen. The next book I would like to talk to you about is called Becky Lynch, The Man, Not Your Average Girl by Rebecca Quinn. Now, this is an autobiography about a woman named Rebecca Quinn, who her wrestling name is Becky Lynch, the man, and this is about how she got into the world of WWE wrestling, and as a wrestling fan, and she's one of my favorite wrestlers, I absolutely love this book. It was funny, informative. It was a joy to read. I read this in like only 3-4 days, maybe. Just a joy to read. And you don't necessarily, if you like biographies, you don't necessarily feel like you have to know about wrestling in any capacity or have seen wrestling to enjoy this book. You can just go into it blind and still enjoy it. I was so happy when my husband gifted me with this book. It was a joy to read, and I will definitely be reading it again. The following that is called a book called Test Drive by Mary Hart. This is again a romance contemporary book and series. It follows a group of mechanics, and each book follows a different mechanic that all have the same job at a garage, and they go through highs and lows of finding the girl they want to be with, and it's an awesome read. There's laugh out loud moments, there's heartfelt moments. I love this author's work. She does a great job. The next book is called The Ranger's Apprentice, book number 2, The Burning Bridges by John Flanagan, Falnagan. This was a new to me series. I saw this book at the thrift store and it looked interesting. It's a fantasy adventure. It follows a young man who becomes a ranger, and his apprentice shows him all the ways of his trade, how to hide in plain sight, how to survive, have survival skills, and the apprentice learns that not is all what it seems, and there's court intrigue and just all kinds of fantasy goodness and lots of sword fights and adventure, and I'm so glad I found this book. Following that is called The Lady's Mind by Francine Rivers. This is a Western romance, and it was my first Western romance, and I absolutely loved it. It follows a young woman who goes into, I want to say, Utah or Arizona. Don't quote me on that. And she is disowned by her family, so she's trying to make it out in the West by herself, and she goes to a town where it's advertised as a vibrant hub, and when she gets there, it is run down, it is not vibrant, it's got, unsavory characters, and she's like, what did I get into? But the more she lives and participates in town, the more she learns to appreciate the charms of a simple town, and enjoys the small joys and victories of life. And I absolutely loved this book. She is a new to me author, and the book was new to me. I will definitely be reading more of this book. from this author. She is a Christian author, but her story is, you don't feel like she's pushing her ideals and beliefs on you. She focuses more on the character and story rather than her core beliefs. And her core beliefs are in the story, but they are not the main focus of the story, if that makes sense. The next book I would like to share with you is called The Husband Auditions by Angel Ruth Strong. This was a good book. She is a girl who is single and she wants to be in a serious relationship, and she either finds a very old article about how girls, like, say in the, like, I want to say 40s or 50s ish era, don't quote me on that, would find a husband, and ways to try to get a man's attention, to start like a conversation, that sort of thing. And she tries them, she wants to try them out, but a good friend of hers wants to, who's in the film industry, wants to document it, and they don't like each other at first, but something along the way, a relationship blooms, sort of, but she's also trying to find a husband, so the challenges of that are a big theme of the story, and it was a really enjoyable read. The next book I would like to talk to you about is called Bridgerton Book 2, The Viscount Who Loved Me, by Julia Quinn. I love the Netflix. I got into Bridgerton by watching Netflix Bridgerton first, and then I read the books. I've only read 2 of the books. I read the first one and the second one. I so want to continue on with the series because I absolutely love the book and the TV show. I love that the book kind of covers things more in detail of stuff that either they didn't necessarily pursue in the TV show, and it kind of gives you more detail into the characters, and I am just a big fan and I absolutely loved it. The next book is called Pirate's Wish by Cassandra Rose Clark. This was a reread, and it is the second book in her duology, and it follows a female pirate and a male assassin, and they are lopped together to be companions on a quest, and I don't really want to get into the quest because that's the main plot line, and they absolutely hate each other. They cannot stand each other, but as in the first book, you learn how each of them have their own agenda, but they are thrown together into a situation. And in the second book, it follows where the first book left off. Again, I'm not trying to be vague, but I don't want to give it too much details because it's a really good book if you guys are interested. And there, in the Pirate's Wish, there's lots of plot twists and turns. It is just an epic adventure full, if you love sword fighting and assassins and pirate ships and treasure and mythical creatures. It just is a wonderful mix of fantasy, adventure, and all that magical good stuff. The next book I would like to share with you is actually, I listened to it on an audiobook, and it's called Watership Down by Richard Adams, and I audiobooked it, and I absolutely loved it. This follows a group of rabbits, and it is a different take than like the Redwall series. So Watership Down focuses on real hares, like in the wild outdoor life, and their home, their warren, is threatened by something. Again, don't want to ruin anything, and they have to seek a new home, and it is a vivid adventure. Probably, I would say, for age appropriate, I would probably say middle schoolers, no younger than middle school age readers, because they probably, any younger might not understand the significance of some of the events in the story, and some of the events can be pretty graphic when it comes to different warrens colliding and fighting for supremacy, so to speak. So just be forewarned, but I absolutely love it. I would love to have a copy of Watership Down someday. I also rewatched an old film of it, an animated film, not the Netflix one, but there's a BBC cartoon of it. I watched that one first because I think that's a really good introduction to it. And I would love to watch the Netflix take on Watership Down just to compare it. So if you're interested in, again, a different take on stories, I would give Watership Down a try if you like animals and books in general. One of the last books is called Clipped Wings by Helena Hunting, and this follows a male tattoo artist named, what is his name? I want to say Travis, but I don't think it is. I'm sorry. This follows a woman named Tenley and a tattoo artist named Hayden. And Tenley is a college-age student who survived a horrific plane crash that killed her fiance, and she is struggling with survivor's guilt, and she wants a back tattoo, and she meets Hayden, and Hayden has his own dark past and struggles, and they come together, they form a relationship, and it goes through their journey together. I absolutely love this book. It is a beautiful contemporary story. Again, this is not for young readers. I would say high school age and up, absolutely fine. Anything younger, probably not, just because they deal with a lot of serious issues along with bedroom sex scenes. So just be aware of that. And the last book is called Pirates: The True and Surprising Stories of the Pirates of the Caribbean by Patrick, and I'm going to spell the last name for you because it's a mouthful, Auerbach. This was an awesome book. The book, again, like the title says, tells what life was like as a real pirate, not pirates that we see in movies or TV shows or in cartoons or whatever ones. It is about the real life pirates, and man, I sometimes like to think I would be a good pirate, but then after I read that book, I'm like, nope, couldn't hack it. I couldn't do it. But it was really informative, fun, easy read. I learned so many cool things about life, what life was really like at sea and on land. And again, it was just a joy to read. So that is all the video for today. I know it was quite a long list, but I felt it was important to kind of explain some of my books. I hope you like this. Let me know down in the comments what was a book on my list that you either want to read or are interested in, or that you either liked or disliked. I'd really love to know. So leave me a comment, or leave me a comment down below, down below what book that you enjoyed reading this year was. I'd really love to know. So like I said, that's all the video for today. If you like this video, please give it a big like, subscribe, share with friends and family. And until next year, I will see you guys with a new video for my book chat. Bye-bye for now, everybody.